time we are live. So, Josie, would you like to tell me if everything is working? If you can see me, if you can hear me, if there's not too much shine on my bald head, just let me know what is going on. Well, yeah, you say that every time. We see, we hear. Ooh, we good? Okay. So, this one is going to be a bit of a special one. Actually, every time I'm on camera, it seems to be special. I always have something special to talk about. But today, there's really something that I want to discuss. And it's my old prime minister's video that he released yesterday. It's a very personal one for me, considering the past 3 years. So I really think it's important for us to review what he said and actually see what it actually means. And the other thing I want to talk about is something you probably heard about is Tucker Carlson not being with Fox News anymore. You know, I think this is going to be a big one. Whatever comes next for him is going to be freaking massive. So let's start this right now. Welcome to the Nico Lagan Show. I am your host, Nico Lagan. The first thing I want to talk about is Justin Trudeau video that he shared yesterday. I really think it's important we touch on it because he kind of exposed how much full of shit he actually is. And I think that it's important that we bring it back and call him out on it. And this is not meant as taking position on the vaccine. I don't want to talk about how you feel about the vaccine itself. To me, it's just a personal decision that people are allowed to take. But I just want to run this video by you, and I want you guys to tell me what you think about this, and I will put it into context afterwards. So let me share my screen here, and let's listen to this.
And disinformation is carrying people to believe things that are untrue. And vaccinations is a perfect example of it.
Can you hear this, Josie?
Like any modern bit of medical advancements, there are.
So that's the first part. Our brilliant prime minister is basically saying that he did not, or actually, he's admitting for the first time that there are potential side effects in vaccination, and there are people who probably gotten very sick from the vaccination. You know what? It's the first time he actually says something about this. First time since he started pushing those mandates that he admits that something might be wrong with the vaccines. And you know what? It's about fucking time because the studies are showing it. There's so many reports that are coming out right now showing how untested it was and how potentially dangerous it is. But this is not the part I really wanted to talk about. The part that I really want to talk about is the next one right here. So give me a second and let me show you what I actually mean. This is the portion that actually, it's mind-blowing. Absolutely, absolutely mind-blowing what he's saying here. So let's have a listen.
And therefore, while not forcing anyone to get vaccinated, I chose to make sure that all the incentives and all the protections were there to encourage Canadians to get vaccinated. And that's exactly what they did. We got vaccinated to a higher level than just about any other of our peer countries. And that's why we had a less deadly pandemic than most other countries.
You know what? Somebody sent me this video this morning and I could not believe my eyes. This was not supposed to be about this. I cannot believe what he just said there. He basically said that he never forced anybody to take the vaccine. This is a fucking bullshit. This is absolutely bullshit. I am the prime example of this. My girlfriend and I are prime example that what he says is completely bullshit. It is a lie, outspoken lie. We can go back. Let's start here. Let's start on what he said on December 29th, 2021. He said Trudeau called unvaccinated Canadians science deniers. And I quote here, they don't believe in science/progress, and they are very often misogynistic and racist. It's a very small group of people that doesn't shy away from the fact that they take up some space. This leads us as a leader and as a country to make a choice. Do we tolerate these people? Over 80% of the population of Quebec have done their duty by getting the shot. They are obviously not the issue in this situation. This is a prime minister calling people that, because of a personal choice, are becoming misogynistic and racist because we don't agree with what he's saying. So I'm a racist because I chose to continue taking care of my body like I've always been doing. I've been treating my body with the respect that it deserves. I've been exercising. I've been taking my health as a priority my whole life. So because of that, I'm a racist. I failed to see the connection between the two. But this is the prime minister that Art is telling us that he never forced anybody to do anything. Okay, sure. So because he's never forced anybody to do anything, I want to put it out there. I will give you my personal opinion on the fact that they say that about 90% of Canadians have at least one shot. 90%. Now, 9 out of 10 people have at least one shot. How many people do you know? If you're Canadian out there, did you get vaccinated because you believed in the vaccine, because you believe it would save your life? Or did you do like most people that I know that got vaccinated because they did not want to lose their jobs, because they did not want to lose their lifestyle? They still wanted to be able to travel. They still wanted to be able to go to a restaurant. They still wanted to be able to do all the things that they were doing prior to the mandates. But all they wanted is not to lose their rights or their freedoms by getting vaccinated. How many of you out there, and I challenge you, if you're listening to this later on, if you're listening to it right now, please leave me a comment and tell me, did you get vaccinated because you believed that the vaccine was helping you? If that's the case, you know what? Great for you. You are allowed to do this. This is your body, and this is what democracy is all about. But the people that did not get vaccinated, or the people that got vaccinated because they were told to, or else they would lose their jobs, I want to know too. I want you to have the balls to tell me this. I want you to have the courage to tell me what happened and why you did it. You know, this is, I don't know if you guys remember, if you're an American, maybe it didn't make it down here as much as it was in Canada, but we had guys called the convoy protests. So we had a bunch of truckers that were not allowed to go into the US anymore. So they were not allowed to do their jobs anymore because our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had decided that in order to cross the border, in order to leave Canada, in order to have the ability to lose our to get out of our countries, we needed to be vaccinated. That was a mandate that he put in place. He prevented people that weren't vaccinated from leaving the country. So that wasn't what the US was saying. That was what Canada was saying. You cannot leave the country. You are stuck in the Canadian prison if you do not get vaccinated. So you know what the truckers did? They've decided to put a convoy together from all across Canada, and they drove all the way down to Ottawa. They literally blocked the whole downtown area. You could not do shit anymore. You were fucking stuck. And you know what, people of Ottawa? You were pissed at it. I get you. But he's been fucking taking rights away from people for 2 years prior to that. So I understand why they did it. And they did it exactly for that. They did it because they did not want to stand by anymore while their fellow Canadians were losing their rights. I was not allowed to go to the gym. I was not allowed to teach martial art anymore. I was not allowed to go to movies. I was not allowed to go to restaurants. I couldn't visit my family, even though they didn't want to see me because I wasn't vaccinated. But the point is that all of my rights were taken away. All I could do, literally the only places that I was allowed to go anymore were the grocery store, pharmacy, and maybe the hospital, depending, because I wasn't considered important anymore. Other people would have gotten priority over me because I wasn't vaccinated. So the truckers, you know what they did? They actually did what they were supposed to do. They blocked downtown in order to raise awareness and to protest. This is our right in a democracy. You have the right to protest if you do not agree with something. And it's okay not to agree. Nobody's ever going to agree on everything. That's a fact. I'm sure that you that's listening right now might not agree with everything that I'm saying, and that's good. That is engaging. This is how we're going to have discussion. This is how we're going to move forward, by you telling me your opinion, I tell you my opinion. We sit down at the table and we're two fucking adults that discuss solutions to our common problems. But no. Instead, our prime minister invoked an act that had never been invoked ever before. He invoked the Emergency Act to crack down on the convoy protests, when all the convoy protesters wanted was to sit down with the prime minister in order to discuss what they wanted to talk about. They wanted to put solutions forward in order to make this better, in order for us to be able to cohabitate with every other Canadian out there. And how ignorant can you be to not want to sit down with them, to hear what they had to say? That doesn't mean you need to agree with them. That doesn't mean you need to give them what they wanted. But the least that he could have done, the least he could have done was to sit down with them and to actually see what they wanted. Instead, he did something that I've never fucking heard before. I have never heard a prime minister in Canada do this prior to this, but without any court orders, he decided that he could freeze bank accounts, personal accounts of the people that were shown to be at that protest. He was able to freeze their account and prevent them from accessing their own money to survive. So not only was he preventing truckers to go into the US to continue doing the fucking job that they were supposed to, and don't be naive to believe that truckers are not needed. If you want shit on your shelf at the grocery store, if you want shit at your Walmart, wherever you get your shit from, you need the truckers to bring it to you. That's a fact. That's a fucking fact. So he knew what he was doing. Don't be naive to think that he was just doing this because no, fuck that noise. He was doing this because he knew he could make people do what he wanted. How do you think he added 90% of people to get vaccinated? 90 fucking percent. You don't think that the mandates that he put in place is exactly how he did it? Don't be naive. This is exactly why he did it. But you know, the whole point of this, the whole point of me speaking about Justin Trudeau is not to bash him. It's not to bash the vaccination. It's not to bash whatever happened. What I want to talk about is the fact that you choose what to do when you are put in certain situations, or any situations in your life. You are responsible for your reactions. You cannot choose the situations in which you're going to be put in. You can't change that. You cannot pick the cards that you were dealt, but you can definitely choose how to play those cards. And to me, what the truckers did was standing up for what they believed in. This is all what democracy is all about. If you do not believe that what's going on is right, do something about it. You know what I did? One of the things, I did multiple things during these times. Instead of spending all of my fucking days on social media complaining and bitching and blah, blah, blah about how this is not right and we need to do something different, I chose to do something that would have a positive impact. So in the middle of the restrictions in the Quebec province where I'm from, I chose to give people hugs. I chose to go to the protest. I chose to go to where the people were protesting the mandates. And instead of participating in a mostly negative energy, because let's not lie to each other, we all produce some type of energy. And although the people that were there were great, it's still negative. A protest is still seen as negative. But what I wanted to do was to bring more love to the equation, because one of the things that those protests, or those mandates, should I say, actually cause people is to feel alone, is to be lonely, is to be away from their families. Because again, the government was pushing the fact that you had your family bubble, so whoever lives under the same roof as you can interact with them, because no matter what, you're going to get them sick, they're going to get you sick. Oh, that's what they were saying. That's the message they were saying. But they were also saying that if you shouldn't be interacted with the people, you shouldn't be interacting with the people that were outside your bubble. That means your extended family, your friends, all the people that you care about, you couldn't be with them anymore. But what happens to somebody that's an elderly person that lives alone? Or what happens to somebody that has no family? They were left alone. They were left without anybody to have in their life, to be able to touch. And human beings are creatures that want to be in a group. We want to belong. We want to be with other people. This is how we are. We want people around. And I figured that if I could give hugs to people, and a lot of them, let me tell you this, I've given thousands and thousands of hugs, and a lot of them were elderly people, people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. The people that the people that were considered the most at risk were the one coming up to me and saying, "You know what, brother?" And yes, there were guys calling me brother, and real masculine men that needed love. But they were telling me how refreshing it was, how long it had been since they had human contact. So I chose to do this because it was positive. The other thing I also choose to do is to realize a simple truth: is I do not control what other people do or what other people do to me. But what I can control, and one of the only things I control, is what I'm going to do about it, my reactions. So instead of bitching, I moved to my house in buttfuck nowhere. I moved to the middle of the woods, and I decided to isolate myself from the craziness that was happening, because as much as I didn't agree with it, I couldn't change it. But what could I change? My mindset. What could I change? My actions, my reaction, how I decided to spend my time. Because the other thing that's worth mentioning here is those mandates that were pushed by the federal government, by our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, were applied to to the fields that I was working in. I was threatened time and time again by my old employer, telling me that if I did not get vaccinated, I would lose my job. And I told my boss time and time again that I wouldn't do it just for that. If I chose to do something, it was for me, not because somebody's forcing me to do it. So what were my choices? What were the options that I had? You know what? I sat down and I thought about it. I decided that I did not want to. I did not want to work for somebody that could control me like that. I chose to take the chance and say, you know what? I will stand up for what I believe is right, and I will work on developing my own businesses. And this is exactly what I did. I don't know if I would be here today if it wasn't for the fact that our clown, our clown Prime Minister Justin Trudeau wouldn't have had pushed those mandates, because he put me in a situation where I had to do something about it, and I had to choose what my next action was. And you know what my next action were? I developed 3 businesses, and I planned a way to leave Canada. And that's exactly what I did 7 months ago. I left Canada and I decided, you know what? I will try to find somewhere in the world where I can build a family, where my girlfriend and I can live, build a family away from our crazy prime minister. I didn't vote for this clown. I did not choose him as my representative, but this is the situation that I was in. I couldn't change that fact, but I could change my mindset. And this is what it's all about. Me watching that video of Justin Trudeau telling me that he did not force me, he didn't force my hand, is fucking bullshit. He forced us to do something. Well, however you feel about the restrictions, however you feel how it went down, you had a choice. You had a choice to say, I agree. I disagree. If I don't agree, what can I do to change my circumstances? What can I do to stand up? And that's what it's all about. That is what a good man does. A good man is courageous. He will take it upon himself to do something, although it's scary. He will base his decisions on his fucking values, not on the values that somebody else is trying to push him. And this is what it's all about. This is exactly what this is all about. That being said, I want to change the subject because I think I touched this enough. You get my point. I just thought that it was fucking rich that our prime minister tells us that he never forced us. But enough with the bashing. It wasn't bashing, but enough with him. Let's talk something that I find more positive. I'm sure people out there, I'm sure you know who Tucker Carlson is. Basically, the biggest star that Fox Network has, or Fox News, or Fox Corp, however you want to call it. He was their biggest star until yesterday. Yesterday, he was let go. Supposedly, it's mutual. I don't really care why he was let go. Doesn't matter to me. This is his business, and he can do whatever he wants with it. But there's something that I find very interesting because I have a theory of what's going to happen. You know what? You'll hear it first. I believe that Tucker Carlson is going to end up on the Daily Wire. He will become one of the stars of the Daily Wire, which is one of the fastest growing media in the US. And you know what? I hope it happens. Can you imagine having his following added to a media station? Because he, in the last quarter of 2023, so from December 1st to March 31st, he averaged 3.2 million views on every single show that he did. To be exact, the numbers are 3,226,000 views on average. There was just one show on Fox that beat him, and they beat him by 10,000 views. And there's seven on that show. It's a panel. So by himself, he had the most popular show. Like, you look at a guy like Anderson Cooper. I think he's at 800,000 views per episode. Tucker Carlson beat him by about 4 fucking times. And what's interesting is that Fox did not build Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson made Fox News more popular. That means that when he decided to leave, like right now, those 3.2 million viewers that he gets on his show every day, they're going to follow him. They're going to go wherever he goes. So whoever picks up Tucker Carlson has to realize that it is a cash. It is such a cashing event. You can literally bet on the fact that he will add a massive amount of viewers to your platform, whoever you are. This is why I think that the Daily Wire will pick him up, because they have a tendency of doing that. I don't know if you remember, what's her name again? Gina Carano. A couple of years ago or last year, she was let go by Walt Disney for the Mandalorian, I think it's called. The TV show, the show that is ran by Disney. It's based on Star Wars. I cannot remember the title, but all to say that she was one of the main characters, and she was let go because of a post that she made. What did the Daily Wire do? They picked her up. They made a movie with her. They gave her an opportunity to continue to be an actress, to continue to be in the limelight like she wanted, but they decided to reward her for being who she wanted to be, to believe in what she believes. Because I remember that post and I agreed with it. I knew that she was right, but this is not what the cancel culture wants you to say. So guess what? They put so much pressure on Disney, they can her. But this is not going to happen with the Daily Wire. If you ever follow the Daily Wire, those people are always talking about how They're always talking about the stuff that people wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole, but they do it in a way where it's almost polite. It's very interesting, the dynamics that they have there. They're always asking, what's a woman? They're always talking about transgenders. They're always talking about what's wrong with our society, but they're presenting it, although they're a news outlet, they're presenting it in a way that's updated. It's like me right now sitting at a table with a microphone and I'm talking about my opinions. I'm sharing my opinions with you. I'm using what's going on in the news in order to show you why I'm basing my opinions on certain things. And that's what they do. If you ever looked at Ben Shapiro, if you ever looked at Matt Walsh, if you look at Candace Owens, if you look at Jordan Peterson, they have a very natural approach, it seems, to how they interact with their audience. And I find that very refreshing. They are talking about the news, but they're also talking about the social media. They're talking about society. They're talking about a lot of stuff while still providing their opinion. Because right now, there's no news station out there that just provides their facts. We always have an opinion. Is that okay? Is that not okay? You know what? It is what it is. I think it's fine that people share their opinions through the news, that they're obviously biased towards something. And I think that's fine. I think that's great, as long as you advertise it as such. Because if you look at Fox News, if you look at CNN, they tend to tell you that those are the news and those are the real news. But yet, it's plastered with their opinions. It's plastered with their biases. And it's okay. Just don't fucking lie about it and admit that you're not the traditional news stations anymore. And it's fine. I don't know why people are so ashamed of saying this, but the point of the matter is that imagine having a guy like Tucker Carlson on the Daily News, where he probably will not have anything that he won't be allowed to speak about. He will not have to have gloves on all the time. And maybe we're going to see Tucker Carlson in a fucking t-shirt for a while. Maybe he won't feel the need to wear a suit. But I think it's his personality. But I digress. The point is that imagine a guy like Tucker Carlson on a show where he can actually say what he wants to say, and the guys are actually researching the back end, because they do a lot of research and their content is very different from what's out there. I might not agree with everything they say, but I agree with the way they run their show. I agree with the way they run their platform. I agree that their media platform is the new style of media. People do not trust regular news stations anymore. We don't. And if you do, do you really? Do you really trust the news like they were in the 80s and the 90s? Shit, you might not be old enough for this, but do you see the people on TV and say, yeah, you know what? Those guys are absolutely right. I believe them. Yeah, you know what? I don't. It's so full of biases. And you know what? You can tell they're lying. You look at all the news sources, they're always telling the same thing. They're always repeating the same fucking words all over again. So you know something fishy's going on. And hopefully those new outlets like the Daily Wire, like even like a show that I'm doing today, I'm talking about the news, but I'm talking about my opinions on that news. I'm not reporting just the fact. I am telling you my opinion, my biases, but I'm not trying to sell it to you like it's the ultimate truth. I'm just putting it out there. So let me restate my theory. Tucker Carlson is going to end up on the Daily Wire. So don't be surprised when that happened, because you heard it here first. On that note, I want to thank every single one of you out there. I am very grateful for you watching. I'm very grateful for your messages. I'm grateful for your comments. I'm just grateful as a whole. I just want you guys to know this. And until next time, remember, the world is changed one man at a time, and that one man can change the world. Peace.